Welcome friends. In today's video we'll hear tales of people who thought that no was the worst answer they could get. They were wrong. Romantic rejection, workplace drama, teenage angst, all come out in today's tales. Join us on another installment of stories from r/Askreddit. Before we dive in, please be sure to leave us a like, share the video with a friend, subscribe to the channel, and comment below letting us know your own story. Perhaps we'll feature you in a future video. I'd like to thank all of our current subscribers. This video is made possible by viewers like you. Now, enjoy the stories. What was your worst they can say is no event that ended worse than a no? Asked my crush to homecoming. Was honestly shocked she said yes. She was texting one of our mutual friends how she wasn't going to have any fun at homecoming, since I was going with her. Should have cancelled on her last minute, and gone with someone else. In junior high, I asked out my first boy crush and he said, "I don't date guys, I'm a girl." Oh, this is a good one. I got a job offer after being out of work for months. I had questions about the usual, salary, time off, nothing major, and not making demands, just asking. If they had said no to all of them, I'd have taken the job anyway. Their response: "I'm sorry but we are withdrawing the offer." What? Who does this? Oof, that one hits home. I was interviewing for my first real job out of university. Interview went well and they made me an offer on the spot with a lightning quick run through of the documents summarizing it all. This was on a Tuesday, so I asked if I could have until Friday to answer and they said sure, we'll mail you the documents to review. The only document that ever arrived, well after the Friday I might add, was a form letter thanking me for my interest. As pissed off as I was at the time, karma ended up on my side not more than 12 months later. That firm that stiffed me was Arthur Anderson. Had the same thing happen to me 20 odd years back. Had completed 2 interviews and been offered the job. Wasn't particularly wild about the position but money was a significant raise, so had accepted. They asked if I had any further questions and I inquired about leave entitlement and whether there were additional benefits like pension. Not unreasonable to ask at that stage, I'd have thought. They withdrew the offer on the spot. Said if I was that mercenary I'd likely not be the right fit. At the time I was devastated and actually embarrassed that I'd effed up. Looking back, definitely dodged a bullet. Asked my mom if I could do roller derby at 19, and she took my car away and drained my bank account. She ended up putting the money back, and giving my keys back a couple days later. But what the F was that? Briefly had a job going door to door talking to people about solar power. Whole idea was we weren't selling anything, just giving information. So I wasn't worried about commission or anything. If someone wasn't interested, fine by me. Walked up to a house that looked super nice and normal, and didn't have no solicitation signs or anything. Instead of just saying no, they literally pulled a gun on me. LOL. A mutual friend of ours told a boy I liked him, and he said I was the ugliest bee he's ever seen, and that I'm so flat that when I turn to the side, I disappear. I feel that I never wanted to tell anyone about my crushes, but in like the 4th grade a friend wormed it out of me after I made her promise repeatedly not to tell anyone. She walked off and came back 5 minutes later with a smile. "He doesn't like you, who else do you like?" She really couldn't understand why there was no one else and why I wouldn't give her another name. I didn't tell anyone about a crush until it was like 5 years after high school. And the person in question had transferred out of my high school sophomore year. Asked out this girl in middle school and she said, "I think I'm gonna throw up." Hurt like hell when I was little, but when we met up years later, I found out it was because she was nervous. Once a girl asked me to go to prom with her. I said, I'd rather die, and went off to play footy or something. Came back to the dorm room 30 minutes later or something, and she sat there crying with all her friends, who were looking at me like I kill puppies. I meant I'd rather die than go to prom. not, then go with you. But I genuinely didn't realize the mistake until way too late, and I didn't want to bring it up again. I still think about writing to her and explaining. 13 years later. Damn, I can relate. I once knew a girl and neither of us really liked each other as far as I knew. She pretty openly told me she hated me, and acted like it out of the blue, so eventually I disliked her too. But, we traveled in the same circles, so over a few years developed a friendly dislike. Could be in the same room, but didn't really talk or anything, but also sometimes exchanged S-words back and forth. Well, one year she asked me to prom, and I thought she was effing around, so I said back I would never go to prom with you in a million years. Turns out she was serious and thought we had playful crushes on each other. Weird way of showing a crush, but I still felt bad. Edit, if I recall correctly, we actually ended up acquaintances after that. Are the things that seem to matter in high school. I still think about writing to her and explaining. 13 years later. Asked this girl I had been talking to a lot in Spanish class to school dance. She said yes. I was so excited I ran out that weekend and got a suit, told my friends, etc. She calls me on Sunday, which was surprising since I realized I hadn't ever given her my number. Well, she had asked around in order to get it, so she could tell me she had just froze up and panicked in the moment, but was actually waiting for some other guy to ask her. So not only was I out money for a suit, my whole friend group and her whole friend group knew the story of my rejection. Incidentally, this was the second time in high school I asked someone to a dance and they said yes, only to change their mind before the event, but after I'd bought clothes for it. The other had told me the color of her dress and I got a shirt and tie to match. I did not ask anyone to any more dances, or really dates in general after that. I hope you enjoyed the video. What do you think? Have you ever encountered a situation where you thought no would be the worst response you'd receive, but it ended up going much worse? If so, share your story in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. As always, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, and ring the bell so you never miss a story. Until next time, stay curious friends, and thank you for tuning in.